So I'd finally had enough, and I decided to invest $30,000 into a business coach for my business. And here's what happened. So the year was 2009. I had already started my business. We'd been running for 2 years, and I'd already moved out of my home office. I had a home office before it was cool, which was just a bedroom, spare bedroom that we had in the house. Now, the reason I moved out of the office might be very much like what a lot of people who have young families are experiencing. I had children literally knocking on the doors every time I was trying to make a phone call, and I didn't get the space to be able to speak to people to make the sales. And so I found a community. It was like a community office space. So they're pretty popular now. You can actually have multiple businesses working within the same office space. But this was one back when the councils had to put it together. And I found this space, which was just a 10 by 10 square office looking out a tiny window, like a rectangle window next to the door was the only light that I actually had coming in to the office. But it wasn't natural light. It was a 10 by 10 square office with a little window looking out into the hallway. So I had no window to the outside world, and this was my opportunity to start the business by moving out of home. Now, the business had been running not overly well, but better than the employment situation that I was in. So back then, I think I had been earning like $65,000 when I left the organization that I was working with. I was working as a graphic designer at the time, and I decided to start my own business. Now, the reason I wanted to start my own business was because we had a young family on the way. My wife was pregnant, and for some reason I decided that was the perfect time to start a business. Well, it was more a case of that I did not see the future within the organization I'd been in, because I'd already been there 9 years. I didn't see a future where I would be earning enough to look after a family. So that's one of the reasons I started the business. Now, starting the business, did it at home, had to move out of there just because of the distractions, moved into this tiny little space. And it was really at this point in time where I was starting to get frustrated at the business, because I've been running it for a couple of years. It really wasn't doing incredibly well. I was earning more than I was as an employee, but only $80,000 a year. And on $80,000 a year, I'm like, there must be a better way. There must be some mistakes I was making. And I tell you what, there was a lot of mistakes that I was making at the time. But what I ended up doing is I went and got some advice. So there was some free advice that the state government was putting on at the time. They still have that mentoring service around as a small business mentoring service. And I went and spoke to a person about how to grow my business. And they said, you're not ready to grow your business. You need to know these things first. And so I went and I did those things. And if you're wondering what they are, it was really having a vision for what the business would become. And so funnily enough, as soon as I defined what the business should become, I became more frustrated because I was like, urgent or I was racing to get there, but I didn't know how to get there. And so I went back to see another one of these mentors, and they said, and I said, oh, now I want to employ people because I want to have this big vision of like the business, and it has, this big building with all these employees and all this thing. And I'm still making $80,000 at this point, right? But I had all these big dreams about the way that this business should run. And that person said, you're not ready to employ anybody yet. You should probably do these other things first. And they're all these structural pieces, and they make sense. They absolutely make sense at the time. But as most entrepreneurs, I was trying to get to some end goal without really having a sense of what it looked like. And these mentors that were very well-meaning were really sort of shutting me down. And so I was frustrated with that. I'm like, all right, I need some more consistent or solid advice, so I don't go to these people once every 90 days, because that was the situation at the time. I couldn't visit them every day, but I wanted answers to questions fast, and I couldn't get them. So what did I do instead? Well, I went to a lot of events, and there was events about how to grow your business, and there was an organization that had business coaches in it that was running a session on how to grow your business. And we were in this room, maybe 200 people. They had these tables of 8. And on one of the tables where I sat, there was a guy who was one of the business coaches. And he seemed pretty easygoing, and he was really personable and easy to talk to. Now, at the end of that event, they offered to help you with some strategy. And I could see where this was going. I could see that this was a situation where if I went to have that strategic conversation, that I would probably end up saying yes and then end up getting a coach of some sort, because that's really what I was looking for at the time. So anyway, I did say yes. I signed up for the thing. I went along to the strategy, and I kind of laughed my way through it, because this salesperson, who was the head coach at the time, was just batting my objections back and forth, and just railroading me towards like the obvious yes, I should be doing this thing. Now, to be fair, I did want to do this. So he didn't talk me into anything. I was already talking myself into it, and I signed on the dotted line. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that the year was going to cost me not just $30,000, but $2,500 to get started, and then $30,000. But they didn't commit me to a year. They committed me to a month. So I'd do the $2,500, and then there was another $2,500 each month, which would end up to the $30,000 a year. Right now, $30,000. I was making $80,000 a year. How am I coming up with $30,000? So I didn't even think that was going to be the case. I didn't think that I would be actually paying the full 30. I thought that I might do this for 2 or 3 months. $2,500, $2,500, $2,500, $2,500. Maybe I'll spend something like $7,500 on this, and ideally get something out of it. Now, what I wanted out of it was answers. I wanted to know where I would be going next and how to get there. That's really what I was engaging this person for. Now, the coach that I was given was actually the guy that was on the table with me, and I thought, okay, this could work. And we had a conversation, because we weren't necessarily committed to joining with this coach. I could talk to a few people and see which one would suit me best. But I spoke to this guy, and it made sense, right? It was very obvious that actually working with this guy, that we would at least get along, and that it would be easy to work together. And so I signed up. And so I signed up for the amount, and with the commitment that I would only give 1 month's notice. And I'm like, all right, that's cool, we'll do that. And in my head, I'm just thinking, we'll work together for 3 months. Now, what happened after that? How did the person engage me in the start, and what did they do with me with that potential $30,000 investment? Well, the start was like an onboarding process, and so the coach got me in. His name's Brett, and we'll talk more about him in a moment. But he had me come in, and we sat down and we discussed my plans for the future and what I really wanted to be doing. I was saying I'd love to build this business that ends up running on its own. It has these employees and has this big building. He's just nodding along, and we recorded it. Actually, we recorded it on a cassette tape. And it wasn't even digitally recorded. It was hilarious. But we recorded that. We said that, once I've got that going, maybe I'll do a bit of education. I've been a bit of a teacher at university. I really like that. Maybe I can do some business education for people, because the work that I was doing was in the business space. And he's like, all right, great. Well, that's how we're going to go. But this is how it's going to work between you and I. And so he set out these ground rules. This is how you're going to act. This is how I'm going to act. And basically, the rules of engagement were laid out. And the key, and the thing that I really remember about the rules of engagement, is he said, what will happen is I will continue to put pressure on you until one of 2 things happens. You will either have a breakthrough or you will break down. And I was thinking, okay, I'm kind of up for that, because at the moment I'm so frustrated and just spinning my wheels, not going anywhere, that if I break down, maybe I'll just go, this isn't for me. And if I break through, well, there's the opportunity. And I didn't know what that meant when he said it, though. And so we caught up. And so we caught up each, I think it was weekly. Yeah, so we caught up weekly at the start. And each week we would have these conversations about what was happening in the business, but then what were my next steps? What are the things I needed to add to the business? Now, interestingly, the real thing that happened in those early days was I found that I would say something with the idea of committing to it, and then not following through. So not actually doing the thing I was supposed to do. In fact, I remember one day going over to his offices, because usually he was coming to mine, but I went over to his offices and I was late. And he was there at the door waiting for me. And how are you going? Oh, the traffic was terrible. It was like I got every light on the way, and I didn't apologize for being late. I was 10 minutes late, and I actually had lied. Like the traffic wasn't that bad. There was maybe a couple of red lights that I got, but it wasn't that bad. And he saw right through me. He completely saw through me, and he taught me a simple process on that day without calling me out, funnily enough, which was above and below the line. And I've taught that on these podcasts before, but I'll just quickly run through it again. Every day, you as a leader in your business, and that's what it is, you are the leader within your business, but even you as a human, you will have opportunities to be above or below this line. And so above the line, we have these really good things that we can be, which is having ways that we can move forward. So using an oar to move forward, right? is to have ownership, as in ownership of what's going on around us. Accountability. So accountability as to the things that have happened and what can we do around them. And responsibility. So he said, every time something happens, you get the opportunity to either have ownership around it, accountability, or responsibility. And I know a lot of people out there are really talking to at least this first step now, which is if you want to change your situation, and I was in a situation where I wanted to change. I was making $80,000. I'd invested with the idea of maybe spending $30,000. The first step was taking responsibility. And when he said this, I realized that that's exactly what I'd just done with even showing up late. I hadn't taken responsibility. I hadn't been accountable, and I hadn't owned the fact that if I wanted to be on time, there are certain things that I would have done to be on time. Instead, I was living below the line, which is the idea of being in bed, right? So I was blaming the red lights. I was blaming the traffic. I was making excuses. And in my own head, to a degree, and especially when I think about what was going on in the business at that time, I was in denial. I was in denial about what was happening and my role that I was playing in it. And funnily enough, that went back through my entire life to that point. I realized that any time that I had made big strides and got something, been successful in my life, it was because I was living above here. And anytime I felt bad about myself or felt stuck or overwhelmed or whatever it might be, it was usually because I was living below here. And so the best thing that this coach gave me to start was this. And so I apologized in that meeting after seeing this. I took accountability and responsibility and said, look, by the way, I'm sorry for being late. I should have been on time, and there is all sorts of reasons that were my fault as to why I wasn't there. And he just nodded. He didn't have to say anything else, and we went on from there. Now, that was useful, and in fact, this process itself has helped me become the leader that I am in my own life and the leader for other people in the communities that I run. But then after this, it changed everything, because suddenly I could start saying I would do things and doing them, and that's what I did. He helped me identify the things that I should be improving in my business, the holes, the gaps that were in the business that just could be easily covered up, the activities that I should be doing on a regular basis, and just simple activities like, had I gone back to the existing clients I had and spoke to them about the other needs that they had, right? Simple activity. And I come to know this as milking your own cows, because the way it was expressed to me is, if you had a farm and you had cows, would it make sense for you to go over to the other farmer's farm and start milking their cows before you milked yours? In fact, would you ever go over to the other farm and milk some other farmer's cows? No, because he'll probably try and shoot you, right? So you don't need to go over there. You've got cows at home. You can milk them first. And I only say that and give that to you because it is a funny one that will ideally stick in your head and help you to remember the concept of milk your own cows first. In other words, work with the people who you've got more opportunity to work with, and you'll get much more out of it. Anyway, so what happened by me spending this money and this time? Well, We were running, I think, so we were hitting 80 was what we were working at. We were, I think, doing $7,000 a month. Yeah, was pretty much what we were doing. And I was wondering, like, how can we do more than that? Within 3 months, so within the spending the $7,000 on this, so before I even spent the 30, we had gone from $7,000 a week, sorry, a month. So we'd gone from $7,000 a month to $7,000 a week. And so the business blew up. And it wasn't so consistent that I could say we're making $7,000 a week on that first year. But that first year, we made $300,000. And so from $80,000 to $300,000. And the key was, yes, that coach. That coach was golden at helping me lead myself. And this method in particular was key to enabling me to do that. Now, what's happened since? Well, I didn't spend just $30,000 with that coach. Obviously, I kept him on and we kept working together. I ended up working with him for more than 5 years. So in actual fact, I spent well over $150,000 with him. He's become the godfather to one of my children and we're still friends today, even though we're not working together now, right? And why aren't we working together now? Because there are seasons for coaches and there are seasons for businesses. And once you hit certain different milestones within your business, you'll need someone else who can help you take that next step. And it's the same with advisors. It's the same with consultants and coaches. And so, still a great friend. He's still incredibly valuable, and definitely the person that I attribute my evolution and maturity in leadership, and it's helped me get to where I am today. So, what does that mean? Well, it means this. There are all sorts of coaches, and I have heard so many different people talk about coaches in quite a negative light. And I guess from one point of view, it does make sense that that's the case if those coaches didn't work on the person and actually just worked on the things that they needed to do instead of who they needed to start to become to do those things. And so the coach that I engaged, maybe I was lucky, I don't know, but he helped me see that I needed to actually be the one to do the work and not him. And then I took responsibility for that and I did the activities that I said that I will do. And the reality is, while I'm not necessarily a coach, but I'm certainly a consultant for consultants now, and we run business programs to help them grow their business, the activities are very much the same. I can't grow the business for the people I work with, but I can certainly help them define the activities that they can do that will grow the business. And the results are that. The people who do the things that they say they will do will get the outcomes that we intend. The people who make excuses, blame, and are in denial about what's going on around them and whether they're involved in it, they are their own business, they're their business leader. Those are the people who end up spinning their wheels or going back and getting a job or whatever it is that ends up happening after the fact. If you want to engage a business coach, my advice is do the work. It's as simple as that. Because if you do the work, the rewards will come. Now, you might not want to build some huge, enormous business. You might just want to build a professional lifestyle that enables you to work when you want, maybe work a little less than you are now, but earn more. It doesn't matter what your vision is, the result will be, or the activity will still be the same. You just need to define what is it that will get me from here to there, and then you commit to small, manageable, actionable steps. And if you do that, well, the results will come. If you're interested to know about the program that we run for consultants, if you are a consultant that would actually like to grow, build, or stabilize their business, then come and talk to me about the Forge. Forge Business Program is where we've been doing that for over 5 years now, and we've got all sorts of people hitting great results and continuing to get better and bigger results. Some of them setting up a professional lifestyle, so they actually don't have a lot of team members. Others looking to build that bigger business that actually has employees and running it for the purpose of exit. Right, so there's all sorts of ways and reasons why someone joins us in the group, just as there's all sorts of reasons why you might want to engage a business coach or a business program to help you work in your business. But the first step is look at your options out there. Go and speak to some people. See if they align to you. See if there's a relatability, because I think that not all coaches should be working with all clients. I think that it's very much a case of, do you resonate with one another? Could you work well together? And then after that, will the coach help you learn or take you through the steps to learn the things that you might need to learn? And will you do the things that you need to do to make it happen? This has been episode number 77 of Your Consulting Business Podcast. If you like what you heard here, make sure you subscribe. We'd love to have you come back for another episode each and every week. Until next time, my name is Russell Pearson. Stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.